What happens if I don't place blame on myself or others? Okay, so there are 5 things overall that I'm going to be discussing that I feel fed into my being able to let go of placing blame, like, at all. So the first one is seeing your part in it all. Second, accountability plus understanding. 3, removing blame altogether. I'm sorry, I read those. 4, ignoring mistakes. And 5, letting go of the past and mental clutter. I have to take my story and put it through the U filter and figure out what bits of it you can apply to your life. There's no instruction manual with a meat suit, much less a faulty meat suit. We have to write our, it took me a long time to figure these things out. And so I want to share that with others. Try to do whatever you have to do to get your head right, because it will help your meat suit function better. Less cortisol, more dopamine, that little soup that's going on in your brain. You can influence it. You can't fix it, but you can influence it. Okay, so seeing your part in all. It's not enough just to leave. So if you're in a situation where there's blame involved, it's his fault, that's what's, jumping into my head right now to use as the example. You have to figure out what got you there. So I ended my 15-year marriage and my ex was at the house one time when I wasn't there and read one of my journals and actually wrote in it, which I think that's probably one of the best things that ever happened for me, which is strange to say, but he wrote, only when you see your part in it all will it change. So I spent a lot of time just being so angry that he wrote in my journal, but he was right. Not in the way he meant to be right, but he was right. And who you are as a person and who someone else is as a person might just not go well together. It can be as simple as that. But if you have things repeating throughout your life, you have regular abandonment, you have regular toxic relationships, you need to understand you're the common denominator. And you need to dig in to yourself and figure out what is it about yourself that is permitting these type of relationships to happen, especially if it's over and over again. For me, it was a lack of boundaries. It was trying to fix someone who you can't fix people. You just can't. Expecting it to get better, and it didn't. Sometimes it just doesn't get better. And so the reason the whole 15-year marriage was my fault was because I stayed. I stayed and I kept hoping cyclically that the changes would come that would make it something that I wanted to stay in. And it didn't happen. So I removed myself from that situation. My part was ending it, and I eventually did it. If you keep playing the game continues until you die. And the only way to stop playing the game is to stop playing the game. It seems so simple, but until you live it, it seems unrealistic. And then once you get to that place where you're like just done, and you see that being done has its own boundary and that boundary holds, that's where you start to see the magic of coping better with things that used to really hurt like a lot. Okay, so along that vein, I did one of these videos called What Happens If I Don't Accept the Judgment of Others? Especially people that are close to you, like especially if you live with them or work with or for them. It can really cloud your head. And if you need help with that, like if you feel judged all the time and you feel less than because of your chronic illness, it's a great one to watch because it'll help you put the proper perspective on it. Number two is accountability plus understanding. So by seeing our part in it all, we are taking accountability. And now we're going to add in understanding. Okay, so I was doing a contract job. It was a very high pressure job. Um, I'm only physically capable of working like 24 hours a week. So um, I have contract work. I do a lot of startup stuff. And I'm like the gal who can do everything in the office. So I can do the books and the sales and the marketing and order processing and shipping and everything that needs to be done. I have an accountability formula. So what would happen in this high pressure environment was a mistake would be made and the person who was in charge did not handle it well. Not in my opinion. I don't think there should be yelling in an office, and to have it like regularly is even worse. So yeah. So I came up with an accountability formula. I would identify what happened. What was the mistake? What's the problem? What's the deal? I would try and determine how it happened. I would figure out what I could do about it and how can I prevent it from happening again. This is a really great in a work situation. Like if you have mistakes at your job and you go to your supervisor with this formula all filled out to tell them about a problem, and at this point you've already given a solution and established how you can keep it from happening again, your boss is going to be a whole lot more patient, tolerable, and understanding than if you just walk in and say, I don't know what happened. I don't know how it happened. I don't know what we can do about it. I don't know how to keep it from happening again. So yeah, this really helped me a lot. I try to use it even for simple things. So I was talking with someone in one of the groups, and I wanted to recommend my group to her, but I wasn't sure if she was in it or not because there's over 2,000 people in there now and I can't keep track of everyone. So I went to the members and then I typed the first 4 letters of her name because her name is pretty unique, and nothing came up. So I just sent her the thing and said, hey, if you wanted to join my group. I did a search in the group and there was these results, and she's like, oh, I'm in that group. So I went back and typed in her name again, but this time I did her whole name. And that's when I learned that you have to type in the person's entire first name. It's not one of those things like on Google where you type in the first 4 letters and it starts to guess who you're talking about. So, because I'm used to that. Like when you tag someone on Facebook, you type the first 3 letters and it populates like that. So I was able to see how I made the mistake and what I could do about it to make sure it didn't happen again. And those kind of things make you feel good, right? Like you realized how you did something instead of just saying I'm stupid or having negative self-talk or whatever, to actually have accountability and understanding for yourself. How did this happen? Oh, that's how it happened. And it just helps you make sense of it all, to realize that you're a human being, not a robot. And if you're doing anything, you're gonna make mistakes, at least sometimes. I mean, it happens. So number 3, removing blame altogether. So once I had my accountability formula down, I wasn't blaming anyone for anything. I was only just stick to the facts, ma'am. Like going through the scenario and what happened and what can we do about it. And yeah, it was very freeing and stress reducing to experience that and to watch that relationship that I had with that person who didn't handle mistakes well evolve from my using the accountability formula was really good too, because like I tell my kids, you're always going to run into people that rub you the wrong way. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. So learning how to coexist with people like that is really good for your sim. If someone does something that drives you crazy, you need to notice it and identify what about it triggers you and try and slip something in there, you know? Like if there's someone who comes by your desk every day and says something to you and it makes you feel a certain way, um, you know, try and find some way to interrupt that from happening. Find a retort to say back to them, or say something to them before they even speak to you. Like there's all different kinds, but unless you practice things, you're going to be afraid to try them. And even once you come up with something to try, there is a real fear there for breaking your patterns and changing the way you normally do things. But if you can push past that fear, you can fashion a whole new life for yourself. It's kind of neat to experience. So instead of blame or shame, because I had people who were working alongside of me in that position, and they would make mistakes. And so I would just work the accountability formula with them. Like, so it took the weight of the blame off, like to feel inadequate, stupid, negative, to have those negative feelings around making a mistake. It'll tank you. You'll get tired, yawning, restless leg, need a nap, hurt more, whatever. It's important to notice how those things affect you physically and to try and do something about them. So I started saying when someone did something wrong, hey, look, this is the way the company wants it done. So this is great, but next time you do it, make sure you open this document so that you make it exactly like this one, because this is the way the company wants it, okay? And then you're fixing things without damaging anybody's self-esteem or making them feel bad because they're a human being and they made an error. I mean, everybody makes errors, so it's just, once it's made, it's made. You can't do anything about the fact that the error was made. You can't go back in time and change it. So you got to just work on solving the problem. We got a problem now. What do we do about it? How do we keep it from happening in the future? That formula is liberating. So those things led to me attempting to ignore mistakes and misstatements and things that are done incorrectly, things that are done wrong or just done other than how I wanted them. For me personally, I had a lot of control exerted in my life, and I did it because that's the best way for me to manage my chronic illness, is to manage my whole life and the way it runs and the people in it to some degree or another. So in my first marriage, I was a total nag. The person I was married to didn't do what they said they were going to do, didn't do what they were supposed to do or when they were supposed to do it. And they couldn't see that they were a cog in the wheel. They saw only that it was me trying to control what they were doing with their life. So I was able to leave that marriage, but I took those children with me too. You know, my boys stay with me half the time. And you have to teach your children that they're a cog, that it's important that they do their part. So instead of yelling at my son over and over to do the dishwasher, I would explain to him, listen, until you empty the dishwasher, I can't take these dishes out of the sink, which means I can't start dinner, which means I'm down here waiting for you to do your part so I can do my part. And then the nagging kind of makes a little bit more sense to the person who you're pushing to get done what you need done. So even though it may not seem like it's true, it seems like a woo-woo gobbledygook statement, you really do teach people how to treat you. And this is another one of those things that really took a lot of practice for me. And applying boundaries. Letting go of mistakes. I don't know if you've ever seen the video Actually Guy, But if you haven't, you could check that out on YouTube. It's not mine. If you just search Actually Guy on YouTube, it'll come up. And I was an isolated child who started reading Nancy Drew chapter books at the age of 7. So I was a big actually, bees are not a native species to North America. And God, I never knew how annoying that could be. And that video, while extreme, really helped me see a lot of the things in myself that um, I didn't realize were annoying until after the fact. And seeing my part in it all helped me do that. So I learned to not correct people when they say things wrong, and not correct people when they spell things wrong, and not correct people when I just flat out disagree with what they're saying. It led to more peace at home and in my life in general. Asking myself, do you really need to correct that person? Like, is it your job to make sure that they understand that their perception is different from yours? Correcting swims in the same pool as placing blame. And if you're a person who corrects other people on the regular, try going a day or 2 or 3 without doing that and see if it makes any difference to your life. What happens if I don't correct people? Yeah, you won't know until you do. So the last thing is letting go of the past and mental clutter connected to the past. I never suppressed any of my memories. I never ignored the pain that my childhood or the things that happened to me after that brought to me. But I did realize that I'm not that person anymore. Not going to be pushed around like that ever again. And I'm not going to be used or a doormat or any of those things, because I'm looking out for me, and I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen. So that's how I got over my issues in the past. And if you haven't, that's really something to give some effort and time to. Watch a bunch of videos, see a therapist, whatever you need to do to figure out how you can interrupt that pain and get beyond it so that you can cope better. You want to be your own best friend, not your own worst enemy. And the sticker says, progress, not perfection. And I thought it was really great that it was folded on the page of the stickers. So it's got like a little line, a little fold line. It's an imperfection on the progress, not perfection sticker, which amused me. Is not blaming your illness or your symptoms. There's a big difference between blaming and stating. Okay, so if you say something like, narcolepsy makes my life miserable, that's impossible. Narcolepsy can make you have symptoms, but the misery part is all happening up here. Narcolepsy doesn't physiologically affect your brain to make you miserable. Yes, sleep deprivation can cause depression, and being low on dopamine can cause depression, but narcolepsy can't make that happen in you by itself. It's not an automatic process. So if you stop blaming your narcolepsy for your bad mood and for feeling inadequate or having low self-esteem or having low confidence, and you start really digging into, hey, why don't I have self-confidence? Okay, it's because I have to sleep a lot. So what can I do? What can I feel confident about? And it's the same with everything, your self-esteem, your boundaries, your feeling successful about yourself, your life, the way you feel about yourself, the way you walk in the world. Every single one of those things is decided by you up here. And I didn't believe that for a really, really long time. And I just started trying things. I mean, if people have been talking about this stuff, like Aristotle said, knowing yourself is like the key to everything. And that was forever ago. And how many times did I read that quote? But until I actually took the time to know myself and to like the person that I got to know, I was powerless. And now that I do know myself, I know what I'm capable of, I know how hard I work, I know my contribution is always the best because I'm the one who's making that decision that it's my best. No one else can define what my best is. It's not possible for anybody to do that. So don't blame your symptoms. Don't blame your illnesses for how you feel about your life because it's not their fault. It's you are choosing to feel limited by them. And I don't mean that to sound uncaring because I live that too, right? Like I've had narcolepsy for 38 years. I've had fibromyalgia for like 26 years. I have Sjogren's syndrome and myofascial pain syndrome and two movement disorders, and I got a lot going on. So I totally get how easy it is to blame my symptoms for things, but I decide. I play the soundtrack in the cockpit of this meat suit. And I'm not going to let anything run around in there untethered. It's just not going to happen ever again because I feel the power of making that decision and I refuse to give that power up for anybody ever. So if you have a bad day, it's okay. You're going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. Just nurture yourself, man. Be gentle with yourself, love yourself. You're the only person required for your experience as a human, the only character in your life story that will be there from beginning to end. So take charge. Make it a great day, warriors. The choice is always yours.